When I made my first ever game, I used AI for everything. I thought that I was being efficient, but in reality, I ended up with a worse game. I used more time, and the worst of them all, I even learned less. Here's how I now use AI effectively in my development, and how you should implement it into yours. The problem with AI. So the general point of this video is going to be that the more advanced you are, the more you can use AI without it actually hurting you. And we'll talk about that a lot more in this video. But in short, it's basically because you know how to use it. You can probably imagine why you didn't get a calculator in first grade and why you weren't allowed to use it on your tests in elementary school. It's because you have to learn the foundations first. You have to do it the hard way before you're allowed to use these advanced tools, because you need a foundation to actually know how to use it correctly and efficiently. Now, building on this calculator example, imagine if we gave all these first graders calculators. Like, these first graders, they want to learn. Like, that's how kids are. They want to learn so bad. Like, they want to learn, they're curious, and they want to become smarter. Now, imagine what kind of motivation they would have if they just pressed buttons on a calculator. Do you think they would learn anything? Do you think they would actually get motivation? Do you think they would get a feeling of mastery and accomplishment? Like, do you really think that? And I can't hear what you're saying, but I assume you said no. And the same applies to AI in development as well. And probably other aspects, but this is a game dev channel. And it's the same for using AI in your game development. If you skip the struggle early, you will pay in confusion and demotivation later. So now that we have gone over the problem with using AI, we can start talking about how you can use AI effectively and in ways that I actually recommend you do at every skill level. So we're going to go over all skill levels, beginners and intermediates and advanced. So keep watching. Now let's start with all skill levels. These are things that everyone that does game development can do, and it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced. So I have two things for this category. The first one is to ask quick questions. And these are just questions which are basically, they can answer in 1 or 2 sentences and maybe just give you a example. And an example of this, something I asked recently was, how can I make the size of my circle using local scale match the value of my radius plot? Like, it can basically just answer in 1 sentence if it wanted to, or in 1 line of code. So these are questions that I recommend you ask, like these quick ones, just replacing it with, just using it as a replacement for Googling, because you can easily ask these follow-up questions, and it's also quicker, and you get the result, the exact result you want. And the second one for all skill levels are improving naming and readability. So this one doesn't need that much explanation, just use it for variable and function names, comments, tooltips especially is a really good one, and just improving readability in your code. That can be a really nice and useful use case. Now, moving on to beginners. These are things that I recommend that beginners use AI for, and they can get a lot of benefit from. And our general goal here for beginners is to use AI to understand the why, not just get code mindlessly. I have 2 things written down. Let's start with the first one. First one is custom code explanations. And a prompt for that, for example, can be, explain how this player movement works in Unity for me as a beginner. And this is really good because you can get a explanation specifically targeted to your skill level, like a beginner. And you can also ask these follow-up questions quite easily. And since you said you were a beginner, it's going to tailor its response to you being a beginner. And this is also really good if you combine it with taking notes, even in a document on your PC or preferably on pen and paper. That can be a really good use case. And the second useful AI use case for beginners, it doesn't apply to all of you, but for those of you that actually prefer learning with AI and you're able to do it in an efficient way, then you can also use AI to learn and teach you, like be a teacher. But the important thing about this is that you have to configure the AI like specifically to be a teacher. You can't just tell it like be a teacher. Like it maybe will for like a few prompts, but after a few prompts it will give you much more information than you actually want to want to receive, because that's what the AI is like programmed for. It's programmed for giving you the solutions and the information. It's not programmed to like gatekeep information and get you to think. That's like the opposite of what AI is made for. So if you're going to do this, I recommend that you use it on a custom AI, which is specifically made for being a teacher and learning you things. And also in my paid program, I tell you exactly how you can use AI for learning. And I also recommend a specific AI model specifically for learning game dev, which you can use to skyrocket your learning. Now, moving on to intermediates. For this one, I actually have 3 instead of 2. And the goal here for intermediates is to use AI to speed up and clean your own custom system designs. Now, let's start with the first one. It's system architecture planning. So this is especially useful if you are creating a new project and you know kind of what components you need. Like you are going to have this player, and like the player is going to have these abilities and like moving things, and it's going to have like abilities and like a store, and you can just feed that information into the AI, and you can organize it in a really good way, which also minimizes dependency. Or if you're just doing like a big expansion on your existing game, or you need like consulting on your current architecture, a prompt you can use for this is, for example, help me design a modular ability system with X and Y. Now, the second useful use case for AI for intermediates is going to be code-based auditing. And this is the thing that I use AI for the most, and I also found, or I found the most useful. And this is especially useful if you have a coding agent like OpenAI Codex, for example, which has access to your entire code base. It can be an insanely powerful tool to like just get live feedback on your programming practices, and also to just prevent you from future headaches. So if you, for example, have something that isn't really scalable and you ask it to find these bottlenecks in your expandability, then you can quickly identify it and you can work on it before you actually try to expand the system, so that you have prevented that headache from ever appearing. And a prompt you can use for this is, what are my biggest strengths, flaws, issues, and bad practices in the code? Now for the third and last use case for intermediates is profiling and optimization help. So you can probably think why this is useful. If you, for example, send a screenshot of your profiling in your engine, then the AI can quickly identify where you have spikes, for example, and it can like identify if those spikes are normal or if they are abnormal, or if you should like prioritize optimizing it. And you can also send it a screenshot of the hierarchy in the profiler. And like as game developers, like I doubt a lot of you people are like experts in profilers, in like profiling and optimization. So you can get the AI to read the profile hierarchy for you, so you know exactly where your resources are going. And the AI can identify if those systems in the hierarchy take abnormally high resources compared to what they should. And you can also send it a performance heavy script. And more often than not, as an intermediate, you will have things that you can optimize in it to get significantly better performance, which the AI can help you identify. So now we've gone over all skill levels, beginners and intermediates, and now moving on to the advanced. But the truth about using AI as an advanced game developer is that you can use AI a lot more since you have the knowledge to reason and be critical. So you can kind of think of it like when you are a advanced game developer, you're finally allowed to use the calculator on the tests. It's basically when you started high school. You can finally use the calculators on the tests. Now, I really appreciate you watching this video, and I really hope that you at least learned one thing from it. And if you did, I really appreciate if you commented what you learned. So, thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.